Welcome to a journey back in time, to the turbulent seas of the 17th and early 18th centuries, an era we now call the Golden Age of piracy. This was a time when fearsome figures like Blackbeard and Calico Jack roamed the oceans, and tales of their exploits travelled far and wide. But who were these pirates really? Beyond the legends and the lore, there lies a world rich with stories yet to be told. The Golden Age was not just an era of lawlessness and treasure hunts, it was a period shaped by conflict, survival, and the search for freedom on the high seas. In this video, we'll dive into the lives of these notorious sea rovers. From the decks of their formidable ships to the ins and outs of their daily routines, we'll explore what it truly meant to be a pirate. How did they live? What did they believe in? And what can their stories tell us about the world they lived in? So, hoist the sails and prepare to embark on an adventure through history. We're about to uncover the real life of the average pirate, a tale of intrigue, danger, and the unquenchable thirst for freedom that defined the Golden Age of piracy. Contrary to popular belief, not all pirates were outlaws cast out from society. Many were seasoned sailors, disillusioned with the harsh conditions and meagre pay in navy or merchant vessels. The promise of freedom, equality, and potentially a hefty share of treasure lured them to the pirate life. Others were victims of circumstance. Captured by pirates during raids, these prisoners sometimes found themselves with a choice: join the crew or face a perilous fate. Surprisingly, many chose the former, embracing the pirate code over an uncertain future. Joining a pirate crew wasn't as simple as walking aboard. Pirates valued certain skills: navigation, carpentry, or combat prowess, for instance. Prospective pirates often had to prove their worth or be vouched for by an existing crew member. Some pirate crews were surprisingly democratic. New members might even sign articles, a sort of pirate contract that outlined their duties, rights, and share of the loot. This contract bound them to the pirate code, a set of rules that governed life at sea. And let's not forget about the buccaneers, privateers who turned to piracy. Initially hired by governments to raid enemy ships when peace was declared or their services no longer needed, many turned to piracy, already skilled in the art of maritime combat. So, whether by choice, force, or opportunity, the path to becoming a pirate was as varied as the pirates themselves. Each had a story, a reason for embracing the rogue life on the high seas. Pirates weren't picky about their ships. They often captured and modified vessels to suit their needs. The most prized were fast and nimble ships like sloops or brigantines, perfect for quick attacks and speedy getaways. Occasionally, they'd capture larger ships, like frigates, turning them into formidable pirate galleons. Life at sea was far from the romantic tales of lore. It was cramped, smelly, and harsh. Pirates slept wherever they could find space, often on the hard deck with nothing but a blanket. Fresh food was scarce, leading to diets of salted meat and hardtack, often infested with weevils. But what about the crew? Who kept these rowdy raiders in check? The captain, elected by the crew, was the ultimate authority. However, this wasn't a dictatorship. Captains could be deposed if they lost the crew's respect or led them to disaster. The quartermaster was the second in command, managing the distribution of loot and settling disputes. Other key roles included the sailing master, navigator, carpenter, surgeon, and gunner, each vital for the ship's survival. Despite their fearsome reputation, pirate crews often operated under a surprisingly democratic system. Decisions about targets and destinations were frequently made through votes, and loot was divided according to the pirate code, a set of rules agreed upon by all. In this next section, we'll be shattering the myths and common misconceptions about pirates. First up, the Jolly Roger, that iconic black flag with skull and crossbones. Well, not all pirates flew it. Pirate flags varied, with some preferring plain black or red flags. The Jolly Roger, as we know it today, was more an exception than the rule. Now, let's tackle the X marks the spot myth. Despite what treasure maps in movies show, pirates rarely buried their treasure. Most loot was quickly sold or traded. Pirates had bills to pay and lives to live, after all. And about those parrots and eye patches. While exotic pets were indeed status symbols, the idea of every pirate sporting a parrot and an eye patch is pure fantasy. Life at sea was dangerous, but not every pirate ended up with a missing eye or a feathered friend. Let's also debunk the notion of pirates as lawless anarchists. Many pirate crews operated under strict codes of conduct, with rules for everything from battle to sharing loot. They even had systems for settling disputes and electing their captains. Speaking of battle, not all pirate encounters ended in bloodshed. In fact, most pirates preferred to avoid violence if possible. It was better to intimidate a ship into surrendering than to risk damage to the pirate ship or crew. Lastly, the life of a pirate was not an endless adventure of wealth and freedom. Many turned to piracy out of desperation, and life at sea was tough, with constant threats of disease, starvation, and, of course, the ever-looming risk of getting captured. What was it like to live day in and day out on the rolling waves? Let's find out. A pirate's day began at sunrise. The call of all hands on deck roused the crew for their daily duties. These included manning the sails, swabbing the deck, and maintaining the ship. Life at sea demanded hard work, and every pirate had a role to play. Now, let's talk grub. The pirate diet was simple, often monotonous. Salted meat, hardtack, a type of dry biscuit, and whatever fish they could catch formed the bulk of their meals. Fresh fruits and vegetables were rare, making scurvy a constant threat. Drinking water wasn't always safe, so beer and rum were common beverages. But beware the myths. While pirates did enjoy their spirits, they couldn't afford to be drunk while navigating treacherous waters. What about downtime? Pirates did have fun when they could. Singing shanties, playing cards, and storytelling were popular pastimes. Occasionally, they'd have a pirate's holiday, a day of rest with extra rations, music, and dancing. But life at sea wasn't all singing and card games. Discipline was strict, and punishment for breaking the code could be severe. However, camaraderie often ran deep, with shared hardships forging strong bonds among the crew. Next, the Pirate Code. Think of it as the law of the lawless, a set of rules that governed life aboard a pirate ship. The Pirate Code was crucial. It wasn't just a list of do's and don'ts. It was a social contract that maintained order and fairness among a crew of outlaws. These codes varied from ship to ship, but they shared common principles. One common rule was the equal distribution of loot. Pirates were surprisingly egalitarian. The spoils of their conquests were divided fairly among the crew, with the captain and officers receiving only a slightly larger share. Another key aspect of the code was the election of the captain and quartermaster. Leadership was not a birthright. It was earned and could be revoked. A captain who lost the trust of his crew could be voted out, ensuring he acted in the crew's best interest. Discipline was a serious affair. Punishments for breaking the code were severe and could include flogging, marooning, or even death. This harsh system was a necessary deterrent in a world where mutiny and betrayal could mean the difference between life and death. The code also included rules for battle. Fight or face punishment was a common decree. In an era when a pirate's survival depended on the strength and bravery of his crew, cowardice was not taken lightly. But the code was more than just a governance tool. It was a bond of brotherhood. It created a sense of unity and trust among pirates who otherwise had no country or cause to call their own. As we close the chapter on the pirate code, we see it as a cornerstone of pirate life, a system that fostered order, loyalty, and even democracy in a world often depicted as chaotic and lawless. Next up, we'll explore the thrilling side of piracy, the pursuit of plunder and treasure. How did pirates find their targets? Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't just random luck. Pirates were strategic. They chose busy trade routes and waited in ambush. With lookouts posted high in the crow's nest, they could spot potential targets from miles away. Once a target was chosen, the chase was on. Speed and surprise were key. Pirates often raised false flags to get close without arousing suspicion. As they neared their prey, they'd hoist their true pirate colors and attack, hoping to strike fear and prompt a quick surrender. But what treasures were they after? Gold and silver come to mind, but pirates weren't picky. Spices, silks, rum, sugar, and even mundane supplies like wood and rope were valuable. Sometimes the real prize was the ship itself, which could be captured and added to the pirate fleet. After a successful raid, it was time to divide the loot, a process governed by the pirate code. Contrary to the image of greedy cutthroat bandits, pirates often distributed their spoils relatively fairly. The captain and quartermaster got a larger share, but every crew member received a portion. Even injured pirates were compensated, a practice that might be seen as an early form of workers' compensation. The sharing of treasure wasn't just about wealth, it was about trust and loyalty. This sense of fairness and unity was vital for maintaining morale and order on a pirate ship. Next, we'll discuss ports and hideouts. These were more than just places to rest. They were crucial to the pirate way of life. Pirates needed safe havens, and certain ports around the world became their sanctuaries. Nassau in the Bahamas, Port Royal in Jamaica, and Tortuga near Haiti. These names evoke images of bustling pirate utopias, where the rum flowed freely and the air buzzed with the tales of the sea. These ports were not just hideouts. They were bustling marketplaces where pirates traded their plundered goods. Merchants and locals often turned a blind eye to the pirates' nefarious origins in exchange for access to exotic goods and silver coins. In these pirate-friendly ports, a unique culture thrived. Pirates freed slaves and adventurous souls from all corners of the globe mingled, creating a society that was surprisingly diverse and, in many ways, ahead of its time. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. These havens were often on the edge of the law, and many a pirate met their end in a tavern brawl or at the hands of a rival crew. The local authorities sometimes tolerated pirates for economic reasons, but alliances were fragile, and a pirate's welcome could quickly wear out. Pirates also relied on secret coves and secluded islands for repairing their ships and laying low from authorities. These hideouts were carefully guarded secrets, known only to trusted crew members and allies. As we leave the pirate havens behind, we see them not just as dens of iniquity, but as pivotal hubs in the pirate ecosystem. In our next chapter, we'll sail into the dangerous waters of battles and skirmishes, the conflicts that define the pirates' perilous existence. Life as a pirate was fraught with risks. The threat of stormy seas, treacherous reefs, and deadly diseases like scurvy and dysentery were daily realities. And then there were the battles, violent, chaotic, and often deadly. Pirates didn't always seek conflict, but when they did, it was a fearsome sight. Armed with cannons, pistols, and cutlasses, they engaged in brutal sea battles and boardings. The goal was to overpower the crew and seize the ship as quickly as possible, minimizing damage to the ship and themselves. One notorious skirmish was Blackbeard's blockade of Charleston, South Carolina in 1718. He captured several ships, causing panic along the coast, and only released his hostages in exchange for a chest of medicine. Another famed battle was the capture of the Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de la Concepción by Captain William Kidd in 1699. Laden with gold, silver, and jewels, it was one of the most lucrative pirate hauls ever. But perhaps the most significant danger came from the law. Pirates were outlaws, hunted relentlessly by naval forces. The infamous pirate hunter, Captain Woodes Rogers, pursued pirates across the Caribbean, bringing many to justice. Pirates also faced danger from within. Mutinies were not uncommon, and disputes over loot or leadership could turn deadly. The life of a pirate was one of high stakes, where trust was precious and betrayal could come with a deadly price. The life of a pirate, often short and brutal, could end in various ways. For some, it was a violent death during battle or due to the harsh conditions at sea. Others found themselves captured and facing the hangman's noose, a grim reminder of the price of piracy. One of the most famous pirates, Blackbeard, met his end in a fierce battle with British naval forces off the coast of North Carolina in 1718. Mortally wounded, his legend lived on, becoming more myth than man in the annals of history. Then there was Captain Kidd, who was captured and executed in London in 1701. His trial and execution were highly publicized, turning him into an infamous symbol of piracy and betrayal. Not all pirates met a violent end, however. Some, like Calico Jack Rackham, were captured and tried, while a few, like Bartholomew Roberts, died in combat. Yet, a rare few, like Captain Henry Morgan, managed to retire with their loot. Morgan even became the Lieutenant Governor of Jamaica, ironically charged with hunting down his former comrades. The fates of these pirates were as varied as their lives. Some left behind treasure still sought after today, others only tales of their deeds, but all left an indelible mark on history and culture. As our pirate journey comes to a close, we reflect on the true stories of these sea rovers. Beyond the myths and legends, their lives were a tapestry of adventure, danger, and for a lucky few, survival against all odds. Thank you for joining us on this voyage through the golden age of piracy. Be sure to subscribe to Peculiar History for more thrilling deep dives into our world's interesting past.